Hey guys, Stephen Bogren here from Pro Physique. Today I want to talk about how to deal when life goes wrong. So hey guys, I know you're all thinking, where the hell have you been, man? And that's kind of where this video idea comes from a little bit, because the idea is, what do we do when things start going wrong? What do we do when we're in prep, when we're in life, when things start going wrong? And how do we manage that and still be able to try and work at our fitness goals? Because it can be very, very difficult sometimes to just sort of manage everything. So let's start off with where I've been. I'll give you a little heads up if you haven't been following me on the other social media stuff. So I've actually had some issues with my home, flooding in particular. Big parts of my foundation of my home out. So every time I have a decent rain, my house would actually flood. So I've been dealing with that. So if you've been wondering, why the hell haven't you been putting out videos? That's why, guys. Sorry. I just haven't had a home really to do videos in. And as you can see, I'm currently at the Casa de Pro Physique and the Pro Physique offices, because this is where I am currently staying for the moment. So it has been a big deal. It's been really nice that I've been able to stay here. I can work. I can maybe get some videos out if I get my timing right. And so it's been a really nice change of pace from my home, where there have been workers. It's been really loud. There haven't been workers. It's been flooding. And I've been asked not to be there for the time being via rental company. So that's where I've been, and that's what kind of spurs the debate or the idea for this video in general, right? Let's fix that up. Do I have eyebrows? So I think the hard part is one, first and foremost, managing the stress from these kinds of situations. And so maybe you're not going through a situation with your home, but maybe there's something else going on, right? Maybe there's something going on with your family or relationship, whatever it might be. And so we have a lot of extra added stress from that specific situation that we have to pay attention to. This becomes even more important if we're in prep going into a show, right? At that point, cortisol levels really matter. If our cortisol levels and our stress are out of whack, right, they're over the top, it can directly impact negatively how we look on that stage, right? And so life situations are always going to happen. That's just how it goes, right? We don't control when, we don't control where, but I think Forrest Gump said it best. Shit happens. So we want to make sure that we are doing our best to manage them, right? And not allowing things to get overwhelming, right? I know for me personally, it is when I don't have control over a situation and it feels like it's going nowhere. That's when I am the most stressed with life. As long as there seems to be progress, I'm happier, right? If I have some sort of control over it, I'm happier, right? And so those are some things that we can pay attention to, right? Like say there's some stressful situations going on, pay attention to the things that we can control. And that's normally a really good place to start, is focusing on those small positives that we have in life apart from the negative things that are happening. One of the easiest things to do is the gym, right? Our gym, maybe our nutrition, maybe those are the things that we can control. And so maybe those are the things that we need to pay attention to. Quite often, when we're stressed out, one of the things that we can control is our nutrition, but we actually go the other way with it. We go into the stress eating habits and the high calorie foods, the very dense foods. But we want to make sure that we're doing the right things to facilitate that we're successful in our goals long term. So instead of going towards that end of the spectrum and like, hey, fuck it, I'm stressed out, let's eat some, M&Ms and ice cream and just go overboard, right? And it doesn't have to be M&Ms or ice cream, right? We can go overboard on rice cakes, let's be real. Maybe we go to the other end of the spectrum. Like, we can take solace in the fact that this is something we still have control over. Maybe it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's something that we do have the power to influence and decide whether or not we're going to be successful or unsuccessful. It's the same with the gym, right? That's one of those things, like, the weight doesn't change. And that's one of the nice things, like, the gym is stable. So when we're having times that are stressful and hard and life seems a little bit out of whack, we can go to the gym, right? And we have something stable that we can rely on. we don't have to wonder if 200 pounds is going to be 200 pounds because we know exactly what it's going to be, right? And whereas our performance, especially if we're in a dieting phase or we're stressed out or we're not sleeping, might suffer, for the most part, the gym is a very stable environment for us to kind of take shelter in, right? And to take time away from the craziness of life if we need it. And so what I've found is that quite often when I use the gym and nutrition as sort of my safe havens, my sanctuaries, the things that I can control, not only am I much more successful with those things, right? I'm still on point. I'm still making progress towards my goals. But it also helps me mentally and emotionally because, again, there's something I have control over. And that's big for me personally, right? Maybe you don't need to be as in control. And maybe that's not something that does it for you. And at that point, it's really beneficial to look at things like maybe diaphragmatic breathing, meditation, Tai Chi, green exercise, exercising outside, right? That's a stress relief management tool, right? That's how we manage stress. Progressive relaxation. And so there's a ton of different techniques and there's a ton of different things you can do to help manage that stress so that you're, still staying in a good place, right? But we definitely want to make sure that we don't ignore the stresses and we don't ignore the craziness of life, right? If we just ignore everything, we never deal, we never make anything better, right? At some point, we have to say, okay, it's all right to bitch a little bit. It's all right to complain. It's all right to have our Chardonnay moment, as I like to call it, right? 24 hours to complain. After that's over, pull the pants up, let's go. Like, it's time to start dealing with it. Because if we don't ever deal with it, the stress is never really truly managed because it's just continuing, right? So we don't want to just allow bad situations to continue either. We do want to face them head on. We want to deal with them in as constructive as a manner as possible. And that's part of helping to manage your stress. Because when we talk about stress, we have acute stressors and chronic stressors, right? So an acute stressor is something like a workout, right? It happens once and then it's done. Granted, we're gonna keep doing it. It happens once and then it's done. A chronic stressor is something like you hate your job, right? Every single day your boss is on your back. Every single day somebody's on your back. There's something that you just can't deal with, that you don't have the power to make it better, right? So acute stressors are okay. When we start seeing chronic stressors, that's when stress response really starts to happen, and that's when we really need to make sure that we're doing some things to properly deal with that. Now, we can't all just quit our jobs, right? If we have a bad job. I've been there. Like, I love my job now. I haven't always loved my job. But even though I didn't love my job in the past, I couldn't just quit. I needed the money, I needed the income. So we have to figure out other ways, like those stress management techniques, that we can deal with that chronic stress in a positive manner so that we can make sure that we are minimalizing the detrimental effects. There's my big word sentence for the day. See? I use a couple big words and I'm off. Ugh. So remember, guys, it's okay when shit's hitting the fan. It's okay when things are going wrong. How we deal with it is going to be the most important part. Maybe we're not in a prep. Maybe we're in an off season, right? At this point, we really want to make sure that we deal with it properly, because the things that we do in our off season or our improvement seasons, they directly affect our next competition season. If I put on 30, 40 pounds in my off season, I have to take that back off next time I get on stage again, right? Not to mention, I have to be comfortable and I have to live with that as well, right? Body image, how I feel about my body. A lot of the times, what we do is we actually self-sabotage even worse, because if we're going over continually, we end up putting ourselves in a place where now we're looking at our body and now we have extra stress, right? We've actually just made the problem worse with our coping techniques. So I hope that this makes some sort of sense to somebody out there. I know that a lot of people, you guys have your own stuff going on. Life is not easy, it never is. So I want to encourage you, do the right things, have healthy coping mechanisms, don't ignore the stress, deal with it, and let's make some progress this week. So I hope you all guys have a happy weekend. I know it's Friday, so if any of you are in Tampa and at the Iron Bay show, I will see you this weekend. And for any of you who are going to be at the Olympia next weekend, I will see you there.